good one, I think.
All set? All right, it's May 2nd. This is the Capital Improvement Committee, Planning Committee, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Minutes of October 30th, 2017. Anybody get a chance to take a look at those?
Yep.
Make a motion, we accept the minutes as written.
Second.
All right. Is any changes or anything need to be made? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Capital expenditures for the upcoming fiscal budget. Looks like we have a roof repair.
There are two proposed projects, Mr. Chairman. The first is repairs to the roof, and the second is, replacement of the roof at this building. And the second is the replacement of the cooling tower that cools this building and provides air conditioning to the town hall, police station, and senior center. So there are two reports that are in your packet. The first one I want to address is the roof. And this is an estimate that's been provided to us that we're using as a guide going to town meeting. The first part of it is just some photographs that document the existing conditions. So the roof was installed back in 2003, 2004. There was the contract at that time had a 10-year warranty on it. So the roof is no longer under warranty. The town accepted it when the building would have been completed as is. So the recommendation is that we replace the roof at a cost between $275,000 and $350,000, and that we do so because the roof is at the end of its serviceable life, and the installation that was done was not of the highest quality, but there was poor design, poor maintenance choice, and poor initial installation, which has been documented. And that has necessitated the fact that this building has water infiltration. We've had some events where water has poured in through the ceiling tiles. And this is a nice building that the public has invested money in. And so what we wish to do is secure money at town meeting, hire an architect. The architect will put together plans and specifications for us. We will put it out to bid with the expectation that we get this thing out on the street and get this work done, hoping before this coming winter. It's a $275,000 job is what I've got it budgeted at, with 10% contingency factor and $20,000 for the architect. So that's the total cost together. And the project, the roof does not look like as though there really can be any additional repairs to it. And I would ask you to read the report. The salient points are toward the end. If you get to page 18, it kind of documents what the existing conditions are and what the proposed scope of work would be. You put it out to bid, so it's a public bid project. The good news is we don't need to have a project manager. So project manager comes in at $5 million. We don't need a project manager for something of this size. But we will have to have our architect, whoever we hire, be responsible and make sure that the thing is being installed properly. Because we don't want to have to go through this in another 10 or 12 years. That's it. Questions?
Questions?
What's the warranty on that?
So the warranty, we would ask is a minimum of 30 years.
Okay.
And we'll leave it to our professional design team to put together a proposal that can fit within the $275,000 appropriation. If you had what I've been told is if you had $500,000 to spend on a roof, they could find your roof for $500,000. So what we're doing is we're using our funding and we'll govern what type of roof we get.
Okay.
The sky's not the limit.
Okay. So there'd be a difference whether it was a 30 or 40 year?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
So Greg, you put this out to this Garland company? Is this,
We have,
do you have any other
no, like I said,
line that you're gonna?
it's got to be put out to bid anyway. So the first step is once we get town meeting approval, we have to hire an architect.
So
We haven't got an architect
Right.
on board. So we'd hire an architect. And the architect would put together a program, plans and specifications to get the thing out to bid.
Is this like one of those, obviously it's a flat roof.
It is, yeah.
Does anybody locally do that? Does it McKay or Applied or something?
No, you have to be certified, so you have to have something called DCAM certification, which means that a lot of your smaller people that do that type of work would be excluded from doing so. Unless you have DCAM certification.
Okay.
But again, we're putting it out to bid, so
Anybody,
we're, reasonably, we're gonna ring the bell and, you know, hire the best person. I mean, at the end of the day, we weren't sitting here in 2005 in our newly renovated building, figuring that 13 years later, this needed to be done, so, 30 years is not a bad idea.
The good news is we have a lot of roofers interested in doing work on the fire station project. And they've caught whiff of the fact that this project is coming up too, so sharpen their pencils.
we already have somebody doing, contract to do the roof.
For the fire station,
Right.
it's gotta be done, something called a filed sub-bid. So under the law, you, a couple weeks before your general bids are due, you have sub-bids are due, and roofing is one of the trades that you have to have a sub-bid on. It's a cockamamie system, is the way I would describe it. We don't know who the roof is gonna be, to answer your question.
Are we comfortable in that budget range? I mean, you put this out to bid, you think it's gonna be just,
I'm comfortable, given the size of the roof. The only thing that could potentially, the recommendations, we have an infrared scan of the roof done to determine the quality of the insulation underneath. We'll find out, potentially we could save some money because the insulation is in good shape.
okay.
We won't know until we have that scan done.
Now, what's the timeframe you wanna,
So hopefully we'll secure funding at town meeting, and upon securing that funding, we'll go right out and hire an architect. We have to go through a procurement process to hire an architect, staff. And it's a fairly small job in terms of public construction. So hopefully, like I said, we can get out to bid sometime this summer or fall. They'll work through the whole year, so the days of roofers shutting down for the year they'll work all year.
okay.
They'll do it on a 100-degree day, and they'll do it a day when it's 20 degrees too.
And there's no repair options, huh?
No, that's the nice thing about the report. The report validates the fact that, we made a grant request for $25,000 in repair funds, and if it's given to us, we'll use that money to shore up the major holes that are there.
Mm-hmm.
But the sealant that's being put down is subject to failure, and you can see what happens is that stuff fails, and then we have water that infiltrates through. Again, Mike, it's just one of those things, we could kind of use buckets and things like that, but there'll be damage to the building over a period of time. And I don't think that's a good strategy.
You tried that before.
Well,
There's damage in the hallway.
Yeah, I know it's
There's
when I
enough
walk
water
down, it's-
that's,
yeah, we had a big leak right outside the room here, school vacation week, on a day where there was no rain.
Correct.
So it must have ponded, and the dam broke, and it came over here.
So now, then the question, I guess, would be, how do you pay for this? Is this gonna be, is this going up for like a debt exclusion?
Bond it.
yeah, we're looking to borrow the money. It would be great if we could put this on the fall town meeting and debt exclude it
Mm-hmm.
and not pay any issuance costs. So you'd put $90,000 for 5 years and you'd be pretty good with it. That's a
I think that's a good strategy.
good strategy.
The fallback is if it doesn't pass, if it doesn't go on the ballot, you gotta just bond it and spread the costs out over as many years as possible.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can,
And, you gotta do it, you don't have a choice, I mean, we have to do it. And we'll do it, but we'll just spread the cost out over as many years as we possibly can, which means there'll be a permanent bond, and that permanent bond, it's up to Rich to determine how long it is, but the statute says you can borrow up to 20 years for a building construction project.
What article is this?
Uh,
7?
It's,
It should be 450.
Yeah.
number 7. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, 7. It's
Scrivener's error there.
450,000, not 45,000.
So,
My mistake. So it's, there's also another,
there's a part two to this.
yeah, so the part 2 is the cooling tower.
Okay.
So, part 2 is the cooling tower, which is the galvanized metal thing that sits out in back of the building. It is the thing that provides cooling to this building, and that product generally has a useful life on the low end of 10 years and on the high end 20 years. We've got 13 years out of it, but that cooling tower is corroded, and that corroded, we had a company come in and look at it as to whether they could do some repairs, and they said that they couldn't. So it's reached the end of its useful life, and it needs to be replaced with a new tank or a new unit that will not corrode. And so we originally had a stainless steel tank. We'll go with a galvanized steel tank. There'll be parts that will be taken from this. The pumps are in okay condition, so we'll cannibalize the pumps. We will not use those pumps. We'll take those pumps and keep them in storage, so that if something fails, we've got backup. So we'll go through and the contractor will take off pieces of this. I understand that this thing was declared in tough shape when the system was shut down in November and we turned our heat on, so it would have been after we had town meeting in the fall, in case people say, well, why did this come up at the fall town meeting? So we shut it down in November, and when we shut it down in November, the contractor came out and informed us that the unit had reached the state where it could not be fixed. So we would, again, put this out to bid. This is not something that requires an architect. We have a contractor who's willing to assist us with that. They are state certified, they're on the state bid list, and they have experience in working with the town of Dudley, and that's the people who provided us with this proposal. The only piece that I'm uncomfortable with is the temporary cooling system. So, it is very pricey to bring in a temporary unit.
2 months, $38,000.
And I think, and this is not a scientific, I've not checked beyond just having the idea, we'd be better off to go with individual units in each office. And you go with the individual units in each office for the duration of the project, and when they were done, you sell them and recoup the cost that you invested in.
Will these windows handle any of that?
Yeah, they're pretty sturdy windows. Most of them people can't open because they're so big and heavy.
Yeah, but will
Yeah, so,
does it fit in these things?
yeah, so what we would do is we would put in, again, assuming we have the capability, the power source here,
Mm-hmm.
but, we could do that. And my thought is just kind of doing a back of the envelope calculation. It's about half the price that you see here.
Hmm.
And then potentially you can recover a portion of that when you sell the units 2-3 months later.
What about the portable ones?
Those have value in certain locations that don't have window access, so those would work. But my feeling is, the proposal and the price that we have going forward is for the temporary service with the $38,000. But I'm not comfortable that that's the final solution. I think the final solution might be a more reasoned approach with window units operating again for a period of 2 months. We're not talking about it's gonna operate all summer, it's gonna operate, part of May and into June. So I'm fairly comfortable if we can make that work, that it would happen, and those could be installed at little to no cost. We have capability in-house to be able to do that. So, it's not optimal, it's not the best situation in the world, but most of the offices you walk around this building have outside window access. There are very few offices, at least on the town hall and the senior center, that are kind of landlocked. I did ask the chief to go through and do an assessment of his side of the building, and let me know what his needs would be. And again, I think that may be a more reasonable way to keep costs down.
What's the estimated timeframe to get this replaced?
So this is a 2-month project. So from the time that we sign a contract, they need to fabricate and then ship and install it here.
2 months later, you've got,
Yeah, so it's brought in on a flatbed truck. They lift off the old one, they disconnect all the connections, they disconnect the old one. There's another flatbed truck with the unit on it, they lift it off, they put it on, they bolt it down. But the way this was built, if you've looked at it, it's flush with the ground. So, like anything, if you've got an air conditioner where the moisture doesn't wick out of it and drip out of it, you have a problem. And in real simple terms, the problem that we have is we have this big unit out back, and the moisture isn't easily evaporated from it. And that has created a host of problems and resulted in the thing failing earlier than we would like, but the contractor said to me, in city environments, they don't last more than 10 years. So, 13 years, it's a cost that we don't want to have, but we really don't have a choice in terms of the fact that it needs to be done, and it probably needs to be done sooner than later. So that's, and you can read through his
so
proposal.
theoretically, you could have this up and going in July, right? Somewhere in July?
That would be the goal, to get this thing going. We wouldn't be able to make any payments until July, obviously, so, but the cost here is not that different than what I had been told and what I had heard other people convey to me of what potentially our cost would be. And so,
Now, does this total 100,640 include the 38,000?
it does not,
Okay, so that's additional.
it does not.
But we're going to plan for this just in case.
We are. We will plan for that, and we will hope that there is a more reasonable cost in terms of individualized units.
So you got what, 138, and what was the other one?
So the other one was,
Is this just a round number, this 450?
yeah. So what I've done is, I've included, as I mentioned on the roof project, the amount for the roof, 10% contingency of the architect's fee. So those are all rolled together in terms of the roof project. And then in terms of this project, it's simply the cost of the new unit and the cost of the temporary connection. And it brings us to about 430, so, that's the number, and then I simply said, well, put in 450 because you're not sure what you might encounter along the way.
In the funding, you said the funding is,
We'll borrow it.
We'll borrow,
okay. You don't anticipate anything in the fall? Large numbers of cash for this stuff?
have to pay for these. We did ask for, as part of the state budget, you hear sometimes towns asking for different things.
Yeah.
We did put this in there. So this one, the roof isn't in there, but this is in there, because we got a heads up a while back that this thing was broken. So when our state legislators said, hey, Dudley, what would you like? Give us your wish list to keep it under $100,000, we put this in. Whether that ever happens, I don't know.
Okay. Is there anything coming off as far as debt exclusions or anything?
Rich would know that, I don't know.
The fire truck came off, right? That's done, right? This the last year of the police cruiser too? I think this is the last one.
Yeah, but
That's peanuts.
I can grab the DE one. Issue on this building in 2022 comes off, issue for this building in 2023 comes off.
Those are two biggest ones, right?
Right, fire station
Goes on.
goes on for February, override goes on for February, there's already an override for February, and nothing else, I thought, well, you get your police cruiser, but it's only gonna be for 45, we borrow it in June, we pay it for next year, and that's it.
I don't have any more questions, it's gonna be done.
Those are our only two capital projects.
Yeah.
Any other capital projects you're anticipating on the building here, or?
I don't think so, because those are the two, if you could pick out two things that are the most major parts of this building, the roof and the air conditioning system would be it. I
We've
can't-
already done the,
We did the battery.
ABS
We did the-
backup.
we did the batteries.
We did the computers.
We did the batteries,
The doors were donated.
the
Well,
door,
the doors on that side were donated. There's no doors on that side.
Right.
But, I mean, we're making upgrades, almost paying in cash.
The computer system, right? We did the
Right.
phase one of that, I believe?
Yep, I got my new one. Excellent.
Okay.
not that I can foresee.
Well, does anybody want to make a motion here?
Be happy to make the motion. We want two motions, we want one.
It's listed under one article.
It's going to be on the one article.
one
so
article.
we'll make a motion to combine the two as,
We want to combine the two and vote in the affirmative. Well, that's what my vote is. We'll make the motion for capital expenditure, the roof repair to the Dudley Municipal Complex and the Evapco HVAC for the Dudley Municipal Complex. Vote in favor of it for the town meeting. Because we need a vote in the affirmative for it.
Recommendation. Or it doesn't go
Recommendation in
forward.
the affirmative.
you want to make that in your motion?
Sure. And I so move.
Do we need to put a dollar amount on that?
For a dollar amount of $450,000.
Second?
Right. Michelle, did you get that?
I got motions for
For the
to
two,
recommend the roof repair and the cooling tower.
Yep.
um,
in the amount of $450,000.
Around $450,000 for the annual town meeting.
All right. Is there any other discussion on that? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so that's on.
Thank you.
Okay. So we got those. Any miscellaneous? Chief, do you have anything you want to? Okay.
So I really don't have any true capital items, but as a courtesy, I've always, if something came close, I've always told this committee. So we're in the third year of the 4-year plan to replace the gear at 10 sets at a time. In hindsight, maybe I should have just gone for the 40 sets, but I was trying to lessen the burden every year financially. Plus, you know, it staggers it, so when they come to date again, then it's not as much of a burden to replace them all at once. So we're in the third year of the 4-year, 10 sets a year replacement plan, and the price came to $19,990. So I've been talking to the administrator in the past about it. I've talked to the selectmen. I understand money's tight. They want to put it off till the fall. I have another article question on there, which I'm more than happy to push off to the fall. The issue I have with the gear is it's a safety issue. I have gear down there that people are wearing with holes in it and things like that that I need to get replaced because it's a safety issue. So I guess I'm just asking if there's any way we can leave the gear one on for the spring. I would like to see that happen.
Well, I guess that would have to be up to
Selectmen?
the selectmen that keep that on.
Right.
Because that falls under, that's under the 20,000
Right.
for us. But appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah, I brought it up last year too. I mean, the administrator understands, and he's been really good to me, and I understand the money issue, but that's a safety thing. You know, like I said, I have another article question that's in conjunction with the police department to replace some defibrillators, but that can definitely wait till the fall. I'm more than happy to put that off to the fall. But the gear, I mean, there's no way to predict when we're gonna have calls and when it's gonna be needed. So if there's any way the gear can be left on, and I mean, I've spoken to the selectman and the administrator, and again, like I said, the administrator's been great. been very supportive of the fire department. We work well together. It's just, I'm just throwing it out there, so.
All right, any questions for the chief? Just a couple quick questions. The trailer, how's that? Just kind of maybe give us an update on some of those.
Oh, it's all
capital
repaired.
That's all
They
set
did
and done?
find more damage to it. I mean, I did the 18,000 worth of repairs, and it came out beautiful. It's back in service. We've been using it. We've used it at a couple events already. They did a great job. They sealed it all up. It's probably better than it was when it was new, but they found more damage on the rear side of the roof, and they estimated me for another 8,000, which I'm not gonna ask for. I'll find a donation or something. You know, I'll try to find something, but I'll come to the town as a last effort, but I have other things that I need to replace that are more important at this time. But for right now, if I keep it out of the rain, it should be okay, and if we just seal it every year, hopefully I'll get it along a little further. But like I said, I'll look for a donation for that. But as far as the other work that was done, they did a fantastic job, and it's all back in service, and it's doing good.
How about the ambulance? Last time we talked there,
The ambulance was put in service yesterday.
Real? All right.
It's on
How
the
did we end
road.
up making out on the insurance on that?
They did almost full replacement cost. It was like, I thought it was like minus 10,000 or something. That's what I was told from the insurance person. I mean, Rich, you have to refer to Rich, but that's what I was told.
If you look at Article 10, it'll give you sort of what's going on.
I don't have a copy, so.
Right. 209,000 came in. We need to pay the 106.2 that we still owed on the ambulance that's in the junk heap. We had to pay the debt, we had to pay the interest on it, 1323.81, and then we took the difference of that, and then we put it into the capital account so that we can make a future payment off of the $220,000 ambulance that we borrowed just this fiscal year. So at the end of the day, some of the payment that I had in my budget to make payment for the junked one is going to be added to, so I can make my full payment on the new one with some of the proceeds, and then the rest of the money is for that project in the future. The capital account is specific to the ambulance, so whatever we got for it will be used, and then it won't be for 19, it'll be 20, where a balance will need to go in to continue that payment.
Okay. All right, I guess that's it.
Well, yeah, right, the way that you're explaining, because you owed money on the remount still, but the way it was
Right,
explained to
right.
me, we came in at a price of 208, we got 206, and that's what I was basing my information on, not owing a payment on the other one, just so people that are watching understand. And an update on the building, because I don't know, maybe you're gonna ask that question.
I wasn't gonna burden you with
But,
that, I'm sure you've been asked a quadrillion times.
As the administrator said, they're opening the filed sub-bids on May 7th at 2 PM in this room. And then on May 16th, they're opening the GC bids in this room at 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock on the 7th, too, for the sub-bids. And then they are estimating groundbreaking on or around June 15th. I doubt it'll be right on June 15th, because June 15th is a Friday, but hopefully it'll be within those couple of weeks right there.
All right, thank you. Any other miscellaneous stuff need to go over? What else do we have that we were buying? How about the sign? Any updates on the sign?
We're ready to go.
I noticed that the old
Noticed
one's
it.
gone.
The old one is gone, the steel work for the new one is up, and we'll have training next week, and then the new sign will follow after that. If you have any ideas for our first message, please let us know.
Yeah. Please donate money to the town of Dudley.
Welcome to the,
Yeah.
have a nice day.
Donations accepted.
Leaving
have a
so-
nice day with-
Leaving so soon?
How about have a nice day with a smiley face?
I guess that's it, really.
Collections every week.
I know, did we buy the paver? We bought the paver, because
It's there.
that's all set.
Yeah.
We got that.
Yep.
And then, did we buy we didn't buy the dump truck, did we? I don't think we,
Not that I'm aware
no,
of.
that's still
Not that
something
I'm
he's
aware
looking for. All right. And he doesn't have that.
Well, he's just literally closing out his snow and ice expenses for this
Okay.
year.
All right,
Talk about that with the finance committee.
okay. Is there any other questions? Any other miscellaneous? All right, that's it. Anybody want a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Capital